It's a real game-changing day for us. It's the world's first hybrid CNG motorcycle technology.
Freedom. Introducing Bajaj Freedom.
Today we're going to talk about the new Bajaj Freedom 125, the world's first CNG bike. So, is it safe? How long does it take to fill a CNG tank? Are there enough CNG bunks around? And there are a lot of weight, seat height and other concerns. Hi, my name is Evan. Welcome to I'm a Biker, and let's find out the answer to all these questions. So first, let's talk about the experience of filling up the CNG tank on the Bajaj Freedom 125. We took it as a new challenge because it's the first time for us as well. So we took it to the closest CNG bunk available to us, and that was just a few kilometers away. The one thing that happened at this bunk was, first of all, we went in the afternoon, somewhere around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and there was no rush. There was just one auto guy in front of us. It did not take much time to fill up. In fact, it took hardly a minute. But the point to note here was that this petrol bunk, or this particular CNG machine, did not have enough pressure to fill up the entire tank. So it could do only about, say, 0.4 kg, and after that it showed, it's maxed out. So we had to take it to another Gale CNG bunk, which was again about 2 kilometers away. And this time they had enough pressure. Over here, there were a lot of cabs, there were a lot of autos, and they were not seen bikes, CNG bike. Of course, this is the new and first one to come into manufacturing production. We went there, and here they had enough pressure, enough PSI, and there they could top it up quite easily, and we filled up another 0.5 kg. So our tank was just about quarter full, and now we filled up the whole thing. And the good thing is that it did not take much time. Once they set up the machine, once they set up the instrument, it just took hardly about a minute to get enough gas into the tank, and it was quite seamless. In fact, most of the time we spent there showing the people what this bike is all about and showing them that there's such a bike exists now. All in all, good experience. Yes, maybe once there are enough CNG bikes on the road, it's going to get a little bit tricky waiting around, because it does take more time than a regular fuel fill up. That could get a bit tricky, but yeah, as of now, the filling is seamless, and we had enough bunks in our vicinity to fill up the tank. I think the biggest concern of having a CNG bike is the safety concerns, because quite literally you're sitting on a gas tank, right? And you have it between your legs. But the most important part is that even though it is new for Bajaj, they have done extreme testing. And when I say extreme testing, during the launch they'd given the demonstration videos of what they had done. They quite literally ran a truck over it. They crashed it head on with the moving barriers and things like that. And when we saw the bike in person as well, the way the tank has been enclosed in the trellis frame, and also the extra protection that has been added, I'm pretty sure that there is nothing untoward that can happen, especially due to an accident. But yeah, once there are enough bikes on the road and once there are enough people experimenting with what can go wrong, I'm sure there will be one-off cases, but that is in no way an issue, because that can happen to any bike. But I feel overall a lot of R&D has gone into the protection part of the gas tank and making sure that this CNG bike is going to be robust and stable for long-term use. And one more thing to add over here is that even though this is the first CNG bike and first CNG bike from Bajaj, the CNG technology is not new to them. You have the autos already, and so they have seen it, and they have all the fail-safes and the experience of using that technology and developing that technology for many years. So in that way, that is an additional positive way in which the technology is used and stabilized, and in fact that makes it much more safer. So how does it feel to ride a CNG bike? Well, pretty much the same. Only difference you would probably feel is a slight lack of torque, especially when you're having a pillion. But apart from that, it feels the same. It sounds almost the same. Maybe not as rev happy as a petrol engine, but yeah, the user experience in terms of in a daily use point of view is absolutely the same. And the best part is you can switch it on the go. So in case you're running low on CNG, you can switch to the 2-liter petrol tank, and immediately you have enough range to go to a nearby CNG station and fill up and be back on the road and be highly economical while doing it. So we took the bike in the city on the highway, and it's quite comfortable. It feels light. In fact, it feels really light. So it takes a time little if you're coming from a heavier bike to get used to it. But yeah, it's almost so simple as just moving it around, and you don't expect it to be so light. The seat height, we did not have a problem. It is actually quite big and there's a lot of space and narrow at front. So I'm assuming shorter riders will also not have any issues with it. In the city, it felt comfortable. The handlebars were relaxed. It's not very wide. It's the right spot to navigate between traffic. The seat is long, so even with a bag and a pillion, things were comfortable. Suspensions are actually really good. It can handle our bad roads, our beautiful speed breakers and the surprise pothole very well. And it handled all those without any drama. The suspensions are not too soft in a way that, it sort of weaves after you go over a small bump. It actually stabilizes quite fast. Kudos to Bajaj for finding that beautiful balance. And brakes also are quite good for the segment, and it has the combi braking as well, where you tap the rear brake, a little bit of the front is also used. A little bit of added safety to that whole system as well. So like I said before, you can switch between the petrol and the CNG on the go. So the moment you switch it and you just give it a little bit of throttle, it sort of immediately switches between modes. In terms of throttle response, like I said, there's a little bit of lack of feel of torque. Let me be specific in that way when you're on CNG mode. So sometimes, especially with the pillion, you would feel like, alright, come on, let's go. But yeah, in case there are situations where you want that extra power or extra torque, you can always switch to petrol to get that support. In fact, that's what Bajaj said at the launch as well. Then you can come back to the CNG. And in fact, what I have noticed is that CNG is best for cruising at medium to moderate speeds, like anywhere between 40 to 70. If you're keeping that, in fact, huge band of speed, 40 to 70, you will get really good mileage from the CNG, the tank, and of course you have the petrol for backup. So the build quality is really good. There is nothing really to complain about. Maybe I wish the tank, that flap that opens the petrol and it gives you access to the filling ports for the CNG and the petrol, if that was a little bit more harder. Sometimes it feels a little bit flimsy, so I'm scared to our natural thing is to just go plop like that, right? So you need to be a little bit careful probably on that. But apart from that, I felt the whole build quality is really good. In terms of features, like I already told you, it gets combi braking. So if you tap the rear, a little bit of the front is also applied. And then you have the connected meter up front. Once it's connected to your app, you can answer calls on your phone without having to take your phone up and swipe. Another feature is that there is a conveniently placed USB charging port right next to the handlebar on the right next to the meter console actually, and that is very good. And in fact, we'll talk about that in a little bit later, why that is good. And then of course the meter is also adjustable. There are two viewing angles. Not sure why, but we felt most comfortable with the one viewing angle. But yeah, there is an adjustable viewing angle as well. The tires are tubeless, so that is definitely a welcome addition. But interestingly, the rear tire is 16 and the front is 17 inch. So probably some decisions that we need to investigate why it is like that. Apart from that, the headlights, they're decent, typical LED. If there is no other light, it's good. If there is some other light, it's not so good. So who is this bike for? Well, if your primary need or primary requirement is the commute and make the commute cheaper, then definitely the CNG, the Bajaj Freedom 125 is definitely something for you. That said, I wish the CNG tank had a slightly larger capacity, say probably about 3 kgs at least, so that in case, say roughly, let's do some rough math. So if your commute is about 50 kilometers a day, and then you would need to visit only once a week. Currently, you would probably need to visit twice a week just to get it topped up at least to last the entire week. So small change I would suggest or I would like. But yeah, coming to a wholesome look, definitely a very, cheap and affordable way to commute now with the CNG option available. And I'm looking at a lot of delivery guys and a lot of courier guys switching to this because they're going to have the running costs much cheaper when it comes to using the Bajaj Freedom 125 CNG bike. So guys, that's what the Bajaj CNG bike, the Freedom 125 is all about. It's a unique bike in terms of the fuel being used, and also it's a unique bike in terms of its looks as well. What do you guys think about it? Let us know in a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.